Strangled by Darkness, the story of Earl Leonard Nelson. Welcome to The Most Evil, where we delve into the minds of history's most notorious serial killers. Earl Leonard Nelson, also known as the Gorilla Man, the Gorilla Killer, and the Dark Strangler. Nelson was an American serial killer, rapist, and necrophile, considered the first known serial sex murderer of the 20th century. His reign of terror in the 1920s left a trail of horror and grief across the United States and Canada. Earl Leonard Nelson was born on May 12, 1897, in San Francisco, California. Orphaned at a young age, he was raised by his devoutly religious grandmother. Nelson's troubled childhood was marked by behavioral issues and signs of mental instability. He was a withdrawn, moody little kid with bizarre personal habits. At the age of 10, Nelson suffered a severe head injury when he was hit by a moving streetcar, and this trauma left him with physical and mental problems throughout his life. He spent time in and out of psychiatric institutions, where his violent tendencies began to emerge. Nelson's crime spree began in 1926 and spanned several states and provinces. He sexually assaulted many of his victims post-mortem, showcasing his necrophilic tendencies. Nelson's brutality and the sheer number of his victims, believed to be over 20, sent shockwaves through North America. Nelson's methods were methodical and predatory. Nelson's victims were mostly landladies, whom he would approach on the premise of renting a room. Nelson often studied his worn Bible, using it to keep his victim at ease and off guard around him. Once he gained their trust, he would kill them. He used his hands to strangle his victims, a personal and brutal method that highlighted his violent nature, and engage in necrophilia with their corpse. He would then hide the body, often leaving the corpse under the nearest bed. On at least one occasion, Nelson mutilated the body of his victim. His strength and ferocity earned him the nickname Gorilla Man. Nelson would gain the trust of his victims, often charming them before attacking. The investigation into Nelson's crimes was complicated by his mobility and the lack of coordinated law enforcement communication across states and provinces. Police were initially baffled by the seemingly unrelated murders. However, patterns began to emerge, linking the crimes through the method of strangulation and the type of victims. Witnesses occasionally described a suspicious man seen near the crime scenes, but Nelson's ability to evade capture frustrated authorities. Nelson's capture came after a relentless manhunt. In 1927, he murdered a woman in Winnipeg, Manitoba. The Canadian authorities, collaborating with American law enforcement, intensified their search. Nelson was eventually arrested in June 1927 in Killarney, Manitoba, after being recognized by locals. His capture was the result of international cooperation and heightened public awareness. His trial began on November 1st, 1927, in courtroom number 1 of the Manitoba Law Courts building. Though Nelson's lawyers attempted to portray Nelson as mentally ill and therefore not responsible for his crimes, the jury found Nelson guilty of the Winnipeg slaying of Emily Patterson, found strangled underneath her own bed by her husband, who had knelt by the bed to pray for her safe return after finding her missing on the afternoon of June 9th. Nelson was hanged at the Vaughan Street Jail, Winnipeg at 7:30 a.m. on January 13, 1928. Psychologists analyzing Nelson's case noted his severe mental disturbances, likely exacerbated by his traumatic childhood and head injury. His necrophilic tendencies and the ritualistic nature of his crimes pointed to deep-seated psychological issues. Earl Leonard Nelson's reign of terror may have ended with his capture and subsequent execution in 1928, but his legacy as one of the most notorious serial killers of the 20th century endures. His story serves as a grim reminder of the capacity for human brutality and the importance of vigilance and cooperation in the pursuit of justice.
If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content on true crime and psychological analysis. Remember to stay vigilant, and until next time, stay safe.